Pivot tables are key to creating dynamic reports like this in Excel. In this video, we'll start with the basics on how to properly structure your data and create the pivot tables. We'll then move on to manipulating the structure and formatting of them. Then finally, I'll show you an advanced feature where you can calculate custom fields right within the pivot tables. So, if you're ready to learn all of that, let's head over to the laptop and get straight into it. Before you're able to create any pivot tables, you need to make sure your data is structured correctly. The key things to remember are, your data is in a tabular format, meaning it's organised into columns and rows, and there are no empty ones within it. You shouldn't have any totals or subtotals present in the data, and there should only be one column for each type of data. For example, you shouldn't have various columns for different months. Pivot tables work best when referring to data in official Excel tables. As the data expands or contracts, the pivot table will dynamically update, which ensures all the data will be captured. To convert this data range into a table, click anywhere within it and press Ctrl-T on your keyboard. Ensure the box for table headers is checked and press OK. We now have an additional tab on the ribbon called Table Design, which is available whilst we have a cell selected within the table. If I click on it and come all the way over to the left, you'll see a section for table name. It's always best practice to rename these to something relevant to the table data, which makes it easier if you end up creating lots of tables within your workbook. I'll rename this one to Sales Data. Now we can create our first pivot table. Select the Insert tab on the ribbon. On the left is a section for tables. If you're not really sure where to start with creating a pivot table initially, you may find it useful to select the recommended pivot table option. This allows Excel to create some example pivot tables that you may find useful to insert based on the data you have. If you like the look of one of them, you can choose to insert it by selecting it and pressing OK. For us though, we're going to start from scratch, so I'll close this out. From the ribbon, I'll select the pivot table option. As I was in the sales data table when selecting this, it has already assumed that this is the data I want to use for the pivot table. Next, we need to choose where we want the pivot table to be placed. I've got a tab already set up I'd like to use, so I'll select that. Otherwise, you can insert it on a brand new worksheet. The final box at the bottom allows us to add this data to the data model. This falls outside the scope of this tutorial, but I've put a link to a video up in the corner where I cover this and its uses. I'll press OK, and there we have our blank pivot table ready to be populated. Over on the right hand side, a pane has opened up which is called the field list, which is what we'll use to populate the pivot table. This is the default layout, but if you click on the cog icon, you can change it. I personally prefer the side-by-side view. If you accidentally close this pane, to get it back, click anywhere in the pivot table, and under the Pivot Table Analyze tab on the ribbon, click the field list icon. The section on the left of the field list reflects the columns within the sales data table. So the more columns your data table has, the more options you have available here. The four boxes to the right represent how you want your pivot table to be structured. Let's say I want to see the quantity of sales by product. I can drag and drop the product field into the columns area if I want the products across the top, or in the rows section if I want each one on a new row. I think this looks better, so I'll keep it here. As well as dragging and dropping, you can add fields to your pivot table by checking the box to the left. Excel will try and establish where it needs to live in the areas below. I'll check quantity, and it's correctly added it to the values section. We are easily able to add and remove fields within seconds if you want to view the data in different ways or by different categories. I could add the customer field to the columns to give a nice table by customer and product, and I could also add the category type above the product field to generate a grouping by category. To update the number formatting, simply right-click on the pivot table, select number format and update as you require. There are also many different formatting options at your disposal with the Design tab. You're able to switch the totals and subtotals on or off, change the report layout, I personally prefer the tabular form, and select from various different styles. I hope you can see, just by what we've done so far, how pivot tables really come into their own, offering a level of flexibility you can't match by using functions. I'll just remove the category and customer fields by simply dragging them back into the field list, so we're just left with the split by product. The values column is currently showing us the sum of all the quantities sold, but what if we wanted to see the number of times that product sold instead? Well, we could change this to the count function. Right-click on the column in the pivot table, go to Summarize Values By and select Count. Say I would like to now see the sum of the quantities sold by product, but only for the specific customer buzzing beans. Also, I'd like to see the percentage split of the product sales too. Well, this is really easy when using pivot tables. I'll change the quantity back from count to sum. Next, I'll take the customer field and add it to the filters area, which now gives us a filtering option at the top of the pivot table. You're able to select multiple customers or limit it to one at a time. I'll filter on buzzing beans and press OK. This now shows us the product sales only for that customer. But what about that last requirement of the percentage split of products? I'll add the quantity field to the values area again, which duplicates the results. However, if you right-click on the column and go to Show Values As, you get a long list of options to choose from. We want the percentage of grand total, so I'll select that option. I can update the column header as long as it doesn't exist in the field list, and there you go. With a few clicks, we've created that output. A slicker way of applying filters to pivot tables is by using slicers. If I remove the customer field from the pivot table and then come up to the Pivot Table Analyze tab on the ribbon, I can add in the slicer. This again replicates the columns you have in your data, and you can input slicers for multiple columns, but I'll select just the customer field for now and click OK. This inserts a slicer into your worksheet, which you can now use to filter the output of the pivot table, much faster than changing it in the filter section. Another really powerful filter you can include within your pivot tables is a timeline. To insert this, go back to where we just inserted the slicer, and next to it is the timeline option. As this only works on dates, that's the only field we have the option to use, so I'll insert that. Using this, you're now easily able to select the periods you want to view your data for. If we just head back to the data for a second, we can see there is a column for revenue and a column for cost, but not profit. So what if we wanted to know this? One option would be to add additional column for profit and deduct the cost column from the revenue one. If I go back to the pivot table and refresh it, this column now becomes available to use in our field list. But we can also achieve this another way by using a calculated field. Select the Pivot Table Analyze tab, then Fields, Items and Sets. From the drop-down, select the Calculated Field option. In the name box, create a name which doesn't already exist in the field list. I'll call this Calc Profit. Next, come into the formula bar, remove the 0 and then double-click on the revenue field. Insert a minus symbol, then double-click on the cost field. Click Add and then OK. This now gives us the exact same results as the column we added to the table earlier. Well, there you have it. I hope you found this tutorial useful and now find pivot tables a little less scary to use. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate you giving it a like and subscribing to my channel for more tutorials.